And over to you, Mr. IRFA President. I'm going to switch off my camera just so that we have enough bandwidth. Thank you. Over to you. Enos, I'm just waiting for the controls here quickly, and then we can. Enos, when you're ready, if you can open the proceedings for us, please.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the Office of the Pension Fund Adjudicator, starting with you, Ms. Muvhango, Lukhaimane. Thanks for making time to be with us this morning. We'd also like to express our gratitude to yourself for making time ready to engage with our members and supporters. We are also delighted to have Mr. Naheem Essop, a senior legal advisor in the Office of the Pension Fund Adjudicator. Today's webinar is designed as an information session for all of us, where we want the Office of the Pension Fund Adjudicator to take us through communication number 2 of 2020, which is entitled Internal Dispute Resolution Procedures. We have therefore requested the Office of the Pension Fund Adjudicator to explain and sort of take us through the content of communications number 2. We also want the office, of course, to indicate to us on how this will impact on the management of complaints going forward. Thank you very much. Can I therefore hand over to you, Ms. Muvhango Lukhaimane? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngutshane. I think from my side, first up, I would like to thank the IRFA for the opportunity that you have granted us to come and discuss with your members and just let them be aware of how we are going to be dealing with complaints from the 1st of September. I think this is easily the biggest change since the office was established way back then. So it is important that although it's going to be implemented in what you can call an abrupt fashion, because there'll just be a date and then there'll be a change, we think that it is important in order to support the work of the FSCA also as the Market Conduct Authority. So as you are all aware, Section 38 provides that a complainant may lodge a complaint with the fund first. And it really does say may. So we were taking complaints directly from complainants, even though these were not lodged with the funds first. But I think that some funds have started to be mischievous now, and they are saying, well, grant us the opportunity to first respond to a complaint. So we are going to be doing that. Also, Section 30E1B gives other organizations approved by the FSCA for the purpose of resolving pension funds complaints that opportunity. But thus far, we are not aware of any such organization, but I guess it's there for people to go and approach the FSCA if they are interested in being approved for that purpose. Also, proceedings instituted in accredited counsel, in those instances, wouldn't get involved. We would allow for those processes to unfold. So, for example, currently, the motor industry, we refer complaints back to them for them to resolve if the complainant has not approached them yet. In terms of Section 30A of the Pension Funds Act, the provision, like I've already said, is that a complainant may lodge a written complaint with a fund for consideration by the board of the fund. And as you are all aware, every fund is supposed to have its own internal dispute resolution process, where then they answer to whatever it is that their members or a complainant might need to take issue with. We think that funds need to activate those, because some of the complaints that we receive are really administrative inquiries that should be handled at that level. And the provision is that a complaint so lodged shall be properly considered and replied to in writing with the fund or the employer who participates in the fund within 30 days of receipt thereof. So we are looking at a situation where we will forward, if we receive a complaint and from it we can see that the complainant has not lodged the complaint with the fund or the employer, we will refer that back and grant them an opportunity, 30 days, to respond to that complaint. If the complainant is not satisfied with that reply, then, or if the employer fails to reply, or the fund fails to reply within the 30 days, then we will take that complaint as lodged with our office. So we will not demand of the complainant to re-lodge the complaint. What will happen is that if a complainant doesn't get the response, or if we receive the response and we can see that it has not been properly dealt with, then we will register that complaint as a complaint valid for our office to proceed with. Next slide. Okay. Like I said, why are we doing this? We are doing this because most of the complaints that we receive would not have been lodged with the retirement fund or the administrator. And since we are giving consideration to the TCF principles that all financial institutions must abide by, and the fact that you are obliged as funds and administrators to have your own internal dispute resolution procedures, we should then grant you the opportunity to deal with those complaints and then clear the ones that you can clear, and then we will deal with those that remain unresolved at the end. Also, like I said, there have been representations that have been made. For example, a fund like the transport sector retirement fund have said, since we generate quite a bit of volume in complaints, won't you consider giving us an opportunity to deal with our complaints first, and then if they remain unresolved, we will refer those to you. And we think that in those instances where people have built the capacity to deal with complaints, we should then give them the opportunity to do so. Also, it will be in the best interest of all stakeholders, if especially members, because then currently a lot of members do not have a relationship with their funds. So this will then make the funds also responsible towards their members in a more direct way than they are currently. I must say that if I can venture, yesterday we did have a meeting with the commissioner, and we were informing him that we are going to be starting with this process on the 1st of September. And he could note out of that meeting that this will certainly mean that the regulator will have to do quite a bit. So in actual fact, when we implement this process for those instances where conduct that is unbecoming is going to be apparent, it then means that the regulator must be in a position to activate its own processes and procedures to deal with that. So we will inquire from the complainants as to whether the complaint has been lodged with the fund first. If yes, then they'll give us proof that they did so, and also the fund's written response. That will also shorten our process, because if at the beginning we can get all the information that we require and what the fund would initially have responded to the complaint, then it will most certainly shorten our process, because currently funds respond to our request for information at least on an average 90 days. It takes most funds and administrators to lodge a response with us, which is totally unacceptable because it slows us down. If the complainant has not lodged that complaint, then we will direct that complaint to the retirement fund or the employer so that it can be resolved within the 30-day period. When the 30 days lapse, then the fund is obliged to tell us within those 30 days if they have resolved the complaint to the satisfaction of the complainant. We will also actively seek such confirmation, and then if we don't have it, then we will proceed and lodge the complaint as valid for our side. I have already talked about the first bullet, so that will then mean that the complainant, there's no need for the complainant to then relodge the complaint, and then the date of receipt on our side will be the date on which we register that complaint as valid as valid as not having been resolved by the fund administrator or the employer. And just as a precaution, because we are subject to the Prescription Act, in order for us to interrupt prescription for purposes of our office, we will then, if we note that a complaint may be time barred within the 30-day period that we are granting the fund or the administrator an opportunity to deal with the complaint, then we may shorten that period so that the interests of the complainant remain intact. Naheem, I think this is my last slide now coming up, so you should be readying yourself to take on from number 9. A written complaint lodged with the fund must be considered by the board and responded to in writing. And I think that this is where funds really need to start taking responsibility for what we are being given. Often, the responsibility to respond to our complaints is being left to the administrators. And if you look at the quality of the responses that we receive, the administrator usually addresses what they think they need to address, not in totality what the complainant is asking. So this way, if the responsibility is on the board to respond to us, then funds that do not respond, we are going to have this quarterly publication on our website where you can all go and see who responded within the prescribed period, and to the extent that such lack of response is to the extent that such lack of response amounts to non-compliance with the Act, then the FSCA will have to take steps against that board and its members. And also, funds must ensure that they comply with TCUF principles in the manner in which because this already you are supposed to be putting in place in any case, and also reporting annually about how you have implemented. Yeah, I think, Naheem, I'll stop there. You may proceed from there.
Right. Okay, so I think the slide is just dealing with what is already contained in the Act. And it basically is saying that that we may require a complainant to first approach an organization established for the purpose of resolving disputes in the pension funds industry or part thereof and approved by the registrar. So like the adjudicator said earlier, we're not aware of any organizations that have been given such approval. But Wayne, can we move to the next slide? But if retirement funds do make such arrangements and that they are given approval by the FSCA, then they must provide us with a letter confirming such approval, and we will then redirect the complaints to those organizations that have been given approval. And the email address to provide those confirmations of approval is on the slide there. It's reg.directcomplaints@pfa.org.za. Then the next issue is that of Section 30H2, which talks about if proceedings have been instituted in any civil court in respect of a matter which would constitute the subject matter of the investigation. Wayne, next slide, please. We believe that the councils that have been accredited by the CCMA would fall under this category. Some bargaining councils have been accredited to deal with certain specific type of complaints relating to pension funds, such as the non-payment of contributions. And in terms of the Labor Relations Act, an arbitration award granted in terms of the said dispute resolution procedure is final and binding. And when it is certified by the CCMA, it can be enforced as if it was an order of the Labor Court. So a court has been defined in the Pension Funds Act as meaning a court of the provincial or local division of the High Court of South Africa. And in terms of Section 1512 of the Labor Relations Act, the Labor Court has an equal jurisdiction to that of the High Court, except obviously it deals with labor matters. So next slide, please, Wayne. So any proceedings that have been instituted at an accredited council or the Labor Court in respect of a matter which would constitute the subject matter of a complaint precludes the adjudicator from investigating the complaint if such proceedings have already commenced. And retirement funds and administrators are invited to inform the adjudicator of any arrangement affecting their particular retirement fund where council has been accredited to resolve disputes within their sector, and further whether the complaints received in respect of their particular retirement funds should first be referred to the particular council concerned for resolution. And we've got a specific email address for confirmation of such arrangements, and the email address is on the slide. It's lra.directcomplaints@pfa.org.za. So if we receive that sort of confirmation, then we will redirect the complaint to the accredited council to resolve the dispute first before we can deal with it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Wayne. Any questions?
I think also just to add, I'm not sure if he's back in the room. He had stepped out a bit. I think maybe if I can ask Matome, the Deputy Pension Funds Adjudicator, Matome Thulare, to then just also share with you what his experience has been since he started that has driven us almost to come to this. I mean, even Naheem can share with us that.
To me, I've met you. Sorry. Sorry, Matome, I've promoted you to, or allowed you to be a panelist. So you're welcome to share your experience and also switch on your video if you want to.
Thank you. I'll just switch off mine for now while he's on.
Hi. Good morning. I didn't get to hear anything that you said before I switched on. Can you just recap?
Oh, I was saying that I want to give you this opportunity just to share with the members of the IRF and the people that are attending this webinar to say, what is it, given your experience thus far being in the office, that almost has gotten us to this stage where we are saying that can we try and shift the responsibility way it lies?
Well, thank you, Adjudicator, for just dragging me so unprepared. But for those who don't know me, my name is Matome Thulare. I joined the OPFA as the deputy in January. And it has been quite a roller coaster of a journey, but also exciting at the same time. We want to foster a healthy relationship with funds administrators. And this is really because we both want to see justice being done to complainants. A lot of the complainants who arrive at our doorstep feel that they have been hard done and they are not respected or treated with dignity that they deserve for the years that they have worked and contributed to pension funds. So where we sit, we want you as a stakeholder to work with us to restore whatever dignity that we may or can still do so for the complainant. The approach that funds and administrators need to take when they interact with us is not one of adversarial. We're not in an adversarial relationship with you. We are in a partnership relationship. So we find instances where funds take postures that suggest that they are in a fighting. So I think we need to move away from that, start to say, how do we enhance our processes, your complaints resolution process and our complaint resolution process to really expedite resolution of complaints. You can imagine I arrived in the last 8 months. I work on a case that was lodged in 2018-19, at a time when I was not even considering to join the OPFA. And I asked myself, if I'm working on this case today, and it concerns disposition of a death benefit that a fund has not finalized, what is the justice that has been done to this complainant? And it should all pain us that we delay the resolution of complaints where there is no reason for it. So I wouldn't want to go into detail because I didn't really prepare for this, but I think that should be enough to give you a sense of at least what I've experienced in the last 8 months. But of course, I will be communicating with a lot of you because from where I sit in my role, I'll be involved with stakeholder relationship. So you'll definitely hear from me going forward. Thank you very much.
And what we have also done in the past few months in preparation for this, we have updated all your contact details, funds administrators and the big employers, we have updated the contact details. So if you are not, if you think that your contact details might not be the correct ones that we have, you are welcome to update them with Lana Groenewald at our office. You can just email her, or also at our inquiries mailbox, you can just send your contact details. But we are certain that we have spent quite a bit of time updating details so that we don't have a situation where complaints are not attended to, are said to have been sent to the wrong contact. So Wayne, Enos, that is our story, and we can now take
Thank you. I want to invite questions. If there's anybody who wants to post any questions, I'm surprised no one has posted any yet. You've obviously been comprehensive in the information you've supplied so far today. Or it may be people being in shock trying to process all the information they're dealing with. What I want to suggest is, if there aren't any questions right now, are you happy for us to direct any questions we receive later on through to you?
Yes. Yes, we are happy to do that. And I think it is something that people should have already been preparing for, and it is really a big change. So if within administrators' offices and funds offices, there is no capacity now to deal with this, for those funds that have relatively high volume of complaints, this is really, really going to be a shocker to their systems on the
Yeah, may I just add, Wayne? I would like to encourage people to take advantage of this process. You know, it's my experience having joined in April is that we deal with a lot of unrepresented complainants, people who can't afford to go to a lawyer and, you know, help them resolve their disputes. So they come to us, and their complaint is normally, it's very elaborated. And this process hopefully will assist in sort of crystallizing what the issue really is, so that we're not dealing with a whole wide range of issues that could be resolved internally. Sometimes this process might result in, and I'm hoping in most instances it will result in the complaint being resolved. But where it can't be resolved, at least we know exactly the issue that we're dealing with, and hopefully that's going to result in quicker turnaround times in respect of resolving disputes. Yeah, so I would really encourage funds to give effect to this provision. Don't just see it as a tick box. When you are required to respond in writing to a complaint, it's supposed to serve before the board. So the board members must really apply their minds to the response and make sure that they're taking into account what the member is complaining about, and whether there's any way that they can assist them before we have to get involved. Yeah.
Thank you. I see there is one question there. I don't know if you can see it or whether I should read it out. So the question is, I see it just directed to panelists. Who must confirm to the OPFA that the complaint has been satisfactorily resolved, the fund or the complainant? The fund may think that the matter has been resolved, but the complainant not. And if if it is the complainant, will the OPFA ensure that the complainant gives feedback on the response they received from the fund? Hopefully I did justice to that question. I fumbled there a little. So.
Yeah, so I think what is expected there is that once the matter has been dealt with internally by the fund, the fund will then do a report to us to say, you know, obviously when they're dealing with the complainant, they will get a sense of whether the complaint is resolved to the satisfaction of the complainant or not. But we've also said that we would proactively seek that confirmation, and we will contact the complainant to confirm whether the complaint is resolved to their satisfaction. But we do expect funds to also report to us and tell us whether the matter has been resolved or not.
And I apologize if this is a question that's covered somewhere else. I thought I'd done all the reading I needed to do before our webinar. It's just, is there a format of the report as yet, or is there any preferred format in which the communication should happen between funds and the adjudicator's office?
I think it can just take the form of the response to the complainant, to the extent that you can just say here that we have forwarded to the complainant, and the matter is between us is resolved. Something. So it can be in the format that is, you know, that is acceptable to the fund. As long as we get the information, it doesn't really matter.
Okay,
you wanted to add, sorry, I interrupted you.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say it would probably be in the form of a letter. I mean, similarly to how you would respond to a complaint, you'd write to us and inform us whether it's been resolved, and attach a copy of whatever document may evidence that. Yeah.
Thank you. I see there's another question if you're happy to take it. I don't know if you can see it there. I'll try and read it again, and hopefully it won't fumble too much. It's from Emil Gary van den Berg. I'm pleased to see a more transparent and quick resolution and an expectation for trustees or employers to take these issues seriously. However, COVID has brought out another level of respect for retirement, and there should be a means test on the number. Okay, there's more observation that are liquid, etc. Once again, it's the vulnerable that get hurt most. So, will this ever evolve into a complaint? I think that's just talking about liquidity and people's obviously need for income. And
I think that is one of the issues that I had an opportunity to discuss yesterday in an Ombud workshop with National Treasury around the number of funds that are being liquidated. Unfortunately, and my conversation in that meeting was actually going to the fact that whereas self-sending funds, you can see that maybe to some extent they are trying to get enforcement for the non-payment of contributions. From our side, the observation has been that the big commercial umbrella funds are very quick to liquidate. Once an employer doesn't pay, they'll do the 30-day letter, the 60-day letter, the 90-day letter, and then they decide to terminate the employer's participation. So that for us has been a concern, and we have registered it as such. And unfortunately from our side, there isn't much that we can do because the process is then handled by the FSCA. But it's a matter that we are continually raising to say that boards must be more active in trying to get employers to pay than what they are currently doing.
Thank you. I think the next question is also an important one. I don't know if you can see it there, but I'll just read it. I see it,
Naheem. I can see it.
Okay.
Can you see it, Naheem? Okay, he's muted. While he unmutes himself, I can just continue. It is fine if the larger administrator, if the complaints will go in, or must I first, let me first say to the rest of the people what the question is. It says larger administrators have central mailboxes set up for receipt of complaints. Does the PFA require funds to provide a direct contact, e.g. PO, to receive and report on the complaint? No, we don't actually. We whatever processes you have in place, as long as we receive the response, and as long as when we do report on compliance with it doesn't then become an issue that the complaint was not raised with the PO or the chairperson of the board or whoever. So whichever route you give us to provide you with the complaint, that is acceptable to us. Naheem, you can take the next one.
Okay, so anonymous attendee is asking, what if a complaint was lodged by the member to the fund, but the fund didn't respond within 30 days to the member and now seeks recourse? Can the PFA then condone and handle the complaint under its jurisdiction? So yeah, I think 30A says either the fund must respond within 30 days and the member is satisfied with the response, or if the fund doesn't respond within 30 days, or if the member is not satisfied with the response, then the adjudicator will investigate the matter. So it will fall under our jurisdiction. But remember that there's a duty on the fund to respond. So I think it's 38.2 that says that the board, that the complaint must be considered by the board and it shall be responded to in writing. So if we find a fund persistently not responding to complaints that have been lodged with it by the complainant or on the complainant's behalf by us, then it's obviously a matter that requires the attention of the regulator.
Thank you. I haven't had opportunity to actually read the next question.
Yes.
I don't know who will, is there anybody who wants to take the next question?
Yes, I was just trying here to get, hopefully you can confirm Vilana's email address, Naheem.
Yeah, I think it's Vilana.Groenewald, Vilana, W-I-L-A-N-A .Groenewald, G-R-O-E-N-E-W-A-L-D @pfa.org.za.
What I'll suggest as well, if I may provide guidance, is that we include that in the maybe the presentation, just so that people have
Yes.
that as well.
Yes.
We will just add it to the back of the presentation when we forward you the presentation so that they can have that. So you can just, we will show what, so that she is able to sift through the information. We'll indicate what the title of the email should read, and then the content could be. I think that would also be a welcome development, because also what we want to do, we actually think that funds have delegated so many tasks to the administrators that there are certain things that boards are not tracking that we think boards should track, so before they become major problems.
Thank you. I'm just seeing if there's any chats or any other communication. I can't see any other questions right now. I don't know if you want to maybe provide some last guiding words before we finish off, and shall we start in order of seniority, not superiority.
Exactly.
Yes, adjudicator, if you have any last words you want to share at the moment. Yeah.
Yes, I think firstly I would like to thank you once more for availing this opportunity for us. And I think that the questions that have been asked at the end indicate that there is a need for this process, and that funds are welcoming the process. And I think that it will free our office to actually deal with the issues that are that are really complaints, where instead of issues like I didn't receive my benefit statement, or all those issues, and also prepare us to have a more efficient process in place, and really deal with our turnaround times also. Yes, they are down, but we would like to be able to resolve complaints speedily. Thank you very much.
Is it my turn in terms of superiority?
Superiority. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks to all the participants. Thank you to Wayne and the IRF. From my side, let's all welcome the new dawn. Our doors are open. Let's communicate more. Don't get frustrated with our office without letting us know what it is that bothers you, which we can resolve. Well, we can have a cup of tea, but yeah, we can always have these virtual meetings, and let's talk more, and let's put the complainant first. I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Naheem.
Okay, thank you to my superiors. Thank you to Wayne.
He knows that it's not like that. He's actually our boss, Naheem.
Thank you to Wayne. Thank you to Enos. To the participants, thank you. I'm glad that we're creating some awareness around this, and hopefully it's going to be a successful process. Help us to help you.
And if I can just say something last, don't get frustrated with the process in the beginning. As we roll it out, whatever is not working out, you are always free to drop me an email, and then we can unblock as quickly as possible. One of the good things about our office is that everything is very flat, so we get to deal with things.
Thank you, Adjudicator. IRFA President, may I hand over to you, please, to close the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you to our speakers for their input and insight on the discussion we've just had. For those of you who have further questions, please don't hesitate to get in connection with us or get in touch with us at our email, info@irfa.org.za, info@irfa.org.za. We invite any feedback that you might have on how we can improve our service offering. We'd like to take this opportunity once more to thank you for your attention and participation in this webinar. Enjoy your day. Thank you.